do. And our speakers are experts of the Institute for Social and Economic Research. Good afternoon. My name is Yuriy Myronenko. I'm head of the board of the NGO Institute for Social and Economic Research, and the mission of our institute is intellectual bridge between public authorities, business, and civil society. You know that the program of new government has already been published, and the final provisions of this program are saying that the operating action plan of anti-crisis measures should be in place in 1 month, and the mid-term plan of development should be in place in the end of May. And we submitted our proposals by letter to the leaders of the country, so we send it to the head of the government, of new government. The proposals include the most urgent needs, which we have collected during roundtable discussions and mass media conferences. In general, I would like also to note it would be good if other NGOs also send letters to the government with their proposals, because economy have impact on all of us, and the letters, these are the methods to voice out our proposals. The Association of Ukrainian Entrepreneurs is an interesting initiative, and I hope that businesses and other organizations will also send their proposals. Now I'm giving the floor to Svetlana Kovalevska. She is the deputy director of our NGO and expert on economic issues. Thank you. I would present 5 main demands in economic sector. You can see them on the slide. I would like to say that the state should have a proactive position promoting and businesses to build value added and to support internal domestic investors. We suppose that the government should focus efforts on 5 areas in 2016. First is to formulate the strategy of economic development and an action plan to implement it in order to renew trust among investors and donors. The main aspects for investors is economic targets which they can use in their business plans. They should be established in a clear manner, and the involvement of civil society, associations, researchers in elaborating the strategy, mechanisms and tools of promoting development, architecture of new management processes, and those agencies which will be implementing the strategy, or they should be involved in a participatory process of elaboration of the strategy. The second point is to develop a budget for the next year in a transparent manner. It should be based on realistic macroeconomic indicators. I would like to announce a roundtable discussion which our institute will hold on June 20 in the Verkhovna Rada premises. The experts will present the studies on budgeting, strategic decisions, and the discussion will take place at the Verkhovna Rada premises, where we will discuss the prospects of development. Then the third is institutions for economic development should be established. They should start operating next year, and we should also draw attention to liaison between national bank and government in the process of allocating resources for priorities on economic projects which are important for economy development of the country. The next is introduction of optimum system of management of state-owned assets, which should start with the inventories, and the final key demand is implementation of smart regulation model. Minimum action, minimum interference requirements should be established, which will ensure compliance with legislation by public authorities. So these 5 demands, they are very important, and governance, public governance is the basics. And this is the fundamental mechanism, because civil servants, they implement all changes which we are talking about. We found out that on April 14, a draft law was registered at the Verkhovna Rada, seeking postponing the implementation of the law on civil service. So we request our civil society and MPs not to pass this draft law, because the law on civil service should not be postponed. It should be launched in effect 15 days. The government has 15 days to amend the legislation, so that this law, which I'm talking about, start to be implemented. Now I am giving the floor to our expert on social issues, and she will tell about social requirements to you.
Good afternoon. I'm Larisa Samsonova, and I'm an expert on social policy of the Institute of Social Studies. And social policy is in the focus of my special attention as an expert, and also as an expert on human capabilities, resources, and in that cases when people get in difficult situations. Social policy was the means of manipulation, and each government made popular steps in this policy. And we reached the stage when it is impossible to do the same. So we should organize the sphere and to understand the basic principles that should this social policy be based on. And I would like to stress that the principle of justice is the main, and even people who are vulnerable, they should understand that state can help them. And also we should establish what persons really need help. So this should be a definite person, and the person should get help. So this is the principle of subsidies. and understanding of the fact that a person lives in the community and community knows about this person and that person really needs help. The key steps that should be taken by the state, by the government, is to start to organize this sphere. And firstly, they should create a general register to get information on social help of all entities that are involved in the sphere. We mean that we should have a register where there will be information on persons, and we will know what assistance the person gets. And also there will be the register of those who provide services, and in this register there can be not only state institutions but also non-governmental organizations at regional levels that clearly understand the needs of people. And we also should take into account the pension system. We should act in the sphere. We should understand. And we should understand that people, they should choose when they retire. And this will be one of the investment procedure for the sphere of social security. Also, there should be some insurance principles in the sphere. Also, we should create the market, free market of social services. What we mean is that we should demonopolize the state sphere of social services, and the services, they can be provided not only by the state institutions but by any institutions that can provide quality services. And the money should follow the person, and a person should choose the services from the organization that provide quality services. And fourth, we should create a plan in order to help those who took part in ATO operation and their relatives and people who suffered from this operation. And we should create a strategy that will help to organize the sphere and to prevent abuse in the sphere, prevent the crisis that is in the sphere. And lastly, I want to draw your attention to the topic that is interesting. Maybe it is one of the priority topics. We should prevent discrimination of the disabled. We should focus on the development of legislation to realize the right of a child to a family, the right to carry out reforms in the sphere of social services, and carry out reforms in the sphere of institutions that are supported by the state, and where the rights of the disabled are violated. And also families, they have a lot of problems in their communities, and these problems should be solved. Also, we should support children with special needs, and they should be helped, and they should study inclusively in general educational institutions. And we should harmonize legislation with the UNO document on the rights of the disabled. So these steps, if they are taken, in that case, we will improve the lives of the citizens, and this is the most important here in Ukraine for the social services. I have a question to Svetlana. Among first 5 points you declared, the first one was to to create a development strategy. We have a 2020 strategy. What do you propose? Maybe something else. So these are two different strategies. We don't propose to change anything in 2020. This is the program of the president. He came to power with this program, and he plans to realize this, and he proposes this program to the bodies of power. And we say that in the system of bodies of power, there is no economic strategy and a strategy for attracting investment. So these are two separate documents. One should be created. And another question, and what do you mean by saying the model of regulation, something, the model of mindful regulation? What are you talking about? What do you mean by saying that? And please start, and then maybe your colleagues will support you. And these requirements, they are objective, they are up to date, but they are realistic only if they are supported by real facts, by real factors. In what way are you going to realize these requirements? I will start from the end, and I will go to your first question next. So we have projects of draft laws on which we started to work, and we gather our experts from different spheres, and there is a positive side on the Export and Credit Agency, and also this draft law is introduced to the Supreme Council, and the experts there, the representatives of, and we started to develop this. And as to the strategy, in the summer last year, we presented the policy of political economic pragmatism, and we believe that this is a strategy for 10 years, and we established clear goals that in 20 years we should increase our gross domestic product, and also there are institutions that should help in implementation. So we have the vision, we have instruments, and we address the public. Please get involved, take this strategy, and take our proposals into account. And as to smart regulation, today there is a term as deregulation, and the Ministry of Economy, they created a special office that monitor the legislation concerning the gaps, and also we see that there are many draft laws that are submitted by deputies and by power bodies, and they are directed at cancellation of everything. When we say that the state should play an important role and regulate in the framework of reasonable limits. So there is the role of the state that is important, and there are some norms and rules that should be adhered, and also international standards should be adhered to. And if we go to the European Union and we export and import the products, we cannot cancel all government regulations. So this smart regulation, this is a term. We should go from deregulation to smart regulation, we believe. Do you want to add something? If we are speaking about legislation, in social sphere, there are important laws that should be adopted, and one of it is social services law. And it was submitted by the previous government, and it stayed in the Supreme Council, and maybe it will be maybe new government came and wants to change this draft law because there are key moments that are not taken into account. We should distribute those who and separate those who provide services and those who get the services, because now those who provide services, they identify the needs of those people who need the services. So state institutions, they try to provide those services that they want to provide, not what the people really need. People know their needs the best, and only the person knows what he or she needs. And of course, this person should live normal life and could overcome this difficult situation. I want to add, we have several projects that we carry out. The first is conclusion. We make some conclusions on the current legislation, and the deputies, they adopt about 30 laws a day, and everything is reduced to some laws, but there are many levers that solve these problems, not only by adopting legislation. And in the program, the main priorities should be expressed. And the government, it comes one government, next government, and then the main priority that can be developed on 3 or even 10 years, we should establish those priorities and focus on them. And other organizations, they could join the process. That organizations that have experience in the sphere, we don't know everything. So we work in the sphere, and we hope that others will join us. And I saw the video in YouTube. They said, get involved to our proposal. And this is an interesting proposal that will be on Facebook, and also it will be, all the information will be presented. We have a month till the presentation of the new program, and you can try to introduce some interesting ideas to the program. Thank you. I'm thankful for your active civil position, and we hope that your opinion will be taken into account, because your ideas are undoubtful, and we believe that it is important. And we please come to us again, because it is for us. This information is very interesting for us, and we can get it not only in real life mode, but maybe we can consider some issues in dynamics. And the work with the media, it inspires and directs you to new projects. Thank you very much. And the work of Ukraine Crisis Media Center is over for today.